Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here, reviewing another story from the trade paperback Batman Beyond, Batgirl Beyond. And wow, the first story was really good. I said this is a great pickup for Batman Beyond fans. It builds some of the characters from the TV show you liked, but maybe were a little underdeveloped. It feels like a nice continuation of the series. It's actually got Terry McGinnis in it. And I jumped ahead to the second story in the book. It's a 6-issue epic adventure with him fighting a robot. It's fantastic. It's all the funnier when I look at this cover. I think, oh man, really? What am I getting into? And then there's literally like an anti-communist beatdown in the second story. I just love imagining in my head, the person saying, "Oh boy, I love it when women sneer at me disgustingly. I bet this is going to be a real great example of social What? They're making fun of Marxism? I'm offended." You gotta buy this. It's great. All right. So, especially if you're a Batman Beyond fan. All right. Spoilers start here. Spoiler. Okay, now we're gonna flip ahead and talk about it. So, this is called Undercloud. It's a 6-issue series written by Adam Beacon. The first 3 issues were illustrated by Noam Brayfogle, and the second artist kind of had a nice, slightly anime Western mashup style, both of them, so they were a good fit. So, Marxism! I love Marxist villains. Marxism is an historically interesting philosophy. It's obviously a historically influential philosophy, and what's nice about it is you can kind of sum down the points basically to the Communist Manifesto, and you have the gist of it. And it makes for fun villains because they can kind of quote that, you can kind of sympathize with them and say, yeah, I remember working at McDonald's, I was such a Marxist. And then the day is saved. So what am I thinking about? All right, one of my friends said that villains are the kind of characters who get to speak the unspeakable. You can put the words in your mouth that no other character can say or think, which is one of the reasons I think they're so appealing, is they get to speak to maybe dark desires we may have. Like, I hate Marxism. I love it when Marxism gets roasted in a comic book, but I kind of identify with it. Like when I was working, my first lame job, you kind of identify with that feeling of grumpiness that you're poor and someone else is rich. And so it makes for some really great fleshed out villains where it doesn't feel like it's just lecturing me and saying Marxism is bad, Marxists twirl their mustaches, they plan to blow up the world. It just feels like it adds some flavor to the world. Now this guy, his name is Alloy. I don't remember what the Golden Age character this is alluding to is. Maybe it's like Metamorpho or something, but spoiler, it's secretly the Metal Men, who are like old Golden Age heroes I don't know anything about. So I kind of like that the series overall feels like a perfect fit with the animated series, and the characters are all in character, but they are mixing in some other inspirations from the comics. So I want you to hear maybe a few examples of his name is, what's his name? Sounds like Rogue One, Rebel One or something. So he's like elite hacker, and he's mysterious. He's got baggy clothes, so you can't tell if he's a man or a woman. There's a voice filter, so who could be Rebel One? Falling apart. So Max, I love Max's character because she's a cool hacker girl, but that's not all her character is. She has flaws. She struggles with addiction. She gets herself into situations sometimes where she can't get herself out of it. She has a very specific skill set. She's a cool hacker girl, but this doesn't mean she can hop around rooftops and dispatch 100 men with a blink of her eye. She's a real character. And so she's gotten herself into this fix where she joined a hacker group, and now the hacker group has turned out to be way more dangerous than she thought it was, and she's gotten herself wrapped up in something she can't get herself out of. And she can't contact Batman, or people she loved are going to start dying. So she alludes to the Joker's blowing up the town in some previous story, and he says, falling apart isn't good enough. The city needs to be flattened, raised. Everything needs to start over with everyone having an equal chance. Otherwise, the moneymakers will just rebuild everything, so Gotham will be like it always was. Rich on top with everything, poor on the bottom with no hope, no chance, nothing. And then leaves her to do work. So her problem is she's got to find a way to send the signal to Batman without the bad guys knowing she's sending a signal to Batman. kind of cute little drawing there. So she's in a tough pickle, right? So she's got to think of a way out of it. And I love her solution. She comes up with a solution where she's able to cause a minor power outage just in the Batcave, so it just looks like an honest mistake with the power. But Batman then, of course, puts 2 and 2 together, like only very few people would know how to target the systems to shut off power to the Batcave, so it must be Max. I love that Rebel One's worldview gets expressed every time that Rebel One is on camera, because it just keeps increasing this great Marxist message. Oh, wait a second, this is the line. So she's thinking through these things. My boss wants these responsometer things out of this collection of junk and into this bigger hunk of junk, which she intends to use to flatten Gotham as part of a crusade for social justice or something. Oh, boy. I can't imagine the face of a woke millennial parent picking this book up for their kids because of the cover, and then they have to explain what Marxism is to their kid when their kid asks, Mommy, what's social justice? Why does she want to blow up Gotham City for social justice? Comics have always been about social justice warriors. You guys don't read comic books. That's great. Instant recommend. All right. So yeah, so the neat thing about it is we're kind of reminded of what makes Rebel One tick every time we hear this mysterious gendered fellow appear. And later you get like the emotional connection to it. And you understand it's not just a philosophy, it's not just an ideology. There's a real character here. And it actually kind of like taps into something really deep, where I think a lot of like modern politics has been upset by, like populism. Like everybody says, Trump kind of represents the working man who feels left behind, who feels like robots are taking his job, who feels like heroin is ripping apart his family. And no one else was speaking to that. A billionaire was able to resonate with your average Joe Schmo working man somehow. And so what's funny about the Marxist character is they also kind of resonate with that emotional feeling, like I work and I work and I work and it feels like there's just no way out of this. And this is like a real problem we gotta work through. We gotta think about. So the robot gets activated and Alloy is just like busting things up. The parts 4 through 6 are illustrated by Adam Archer. I just enjoyed the art throughout, and this is where like the dramatic revelation is made that Alloy is secretly these like Golden Age metal men. Okay, other cool like Batman Beyond things. They bring in Dick Grayson, who they talk about Dick Grayson in the Batman Beyond series, but I don't think they ever brought Dick Grayson in. Actually, you saw Tim Drake. So they're doing interesting things with the characters you kind of wish they would have gotten to in the TV series and never got around to. And they're also developing Bruce Wayne's character, where Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond is a very bitter character. It's kind of tragic. He's chased away all of his friends and family, and he's alone and angry when Terry McGinnis comes into his life. And this is kind of like having the point that now that Terry McGinnis is in Bruce Wayne's life, he's sort of starting to come out of his shell and find his positive heroic qualities again. He's starting to think about the future and building a network of heroes, not just relying on one child soldier who does his will. There's some great, we gotta stop the terrorist using all of these cool powers, plot and physics and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I have no idea who these characters are and what their deal is, but it was a great introduction to them. Like, what's fun about taking the old characters and mixing them in a new world is it just gets you interested in another obscure little corner of the DC universe you had never heard of. And Max has this really tough fight where Rebel One's a girl the whole time. Da-da-da! Surprise, surprise. And she just has this really hard scrabble fight, basically to make up for her mistake for joining the super hacker group in the first place. It's fantastic. It's just a pure fun little story. I'm going to try to find it. I guess I already made my point. The cool thing about Rebel One is that, yes, she's a Marxist, but she's actually allowed to articulate the emotion and the effect, the evils of capitalism had on her family and how she felt like she could never get out. Her father was crushed by it. Her mother worked herself to death working 3 jobs at the bottom. She felt like she could never work hard enough to rise out of it. And then Max kind of makes the obvious point that if you actually just developed your talents to helping people rather than blowing stuff up, you could actually do some good and fix some of the problems you're worried about. Instead, you've just become obsessed with this having a big show and stoking your own ego. It's a great moral lesson. Total 100% fun. I love how Bruce kind of connects Max with Barbara Gordon, where Barbara Gordon used to be the Oracle and served kind of a similar role on the team as Max. It's a fun little Western East meets West cartoon style. So total fun. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna live when I go through this one, guys. But based on like 7 issues, like about half of this trade paperback, this was a buy. Yeah, 100%. Batman Beyond fans, pick up some of these. You're gonna love what they're doing with Terry McGinnis. Feels like Terry McGinnis. They're developing some of the characters like Barbara Gordon and introducing Dick Grayson. Total 100% fun. #1 Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my subscribe star, and I will catch you later.